पिछले में हमने BNS का सेक्शन 1 और 2 का वीडियो बनाया था। चूँकि सेक्शन 2 बहुत ज़्यादा लंबा हो गया था, जिसकी वजह से हम सेक्शन 3 अपना कवर नहीं कर पाए थे। तो आज इस वीडियो में हम सेक्शन 3 पढ़ेंगे। तो आइए शुरू करते हैं। सेक्शन 3 जनरल एक्सप्लेनेशन 1. Throughout this Samhita, every definition of an offence, every penal provision, and every illustration of every such definition or penal provision shall be understood, subject to the exception contained in the chapter entitled General Exception, though those exceptions are not repeated in such definition, penal provision, or illustration. Now, illustrations. A. The section in this Samhita which contain definition of offences do not express that a child under 7 years of age cannot commit such offences, but the definition are to be understood subject to the general exception, which provides that nothing shall be an offence which is done by a child under 7 years of age. Under what age? 7 years of age. B. A police officer without warrant apprehend Z. A एक पुलिस ऑफिसर है जिसने बिना वारंट के Z को एप्रीहेंड कर लिया। क्यों? क्योंकि Z ने मर्डर कमिट किया था। Here A is not guilty of the offence of wrongful confinement, for he was bound by law. To apprehend Z, and therefore the case falls within the general exception, which provides that nothing is an offence which is done by a person who is bound by law to do it. Okay, now 2. Every expression which is explained in any part of this Samhita is used in every part of this Samhita is conformity with the explanation. 3. When property is in the possession of a person's spouse, let me repeat, when property is in the possession of a person's spouse, यानी कि उसकी वाइफ, clerk or servant, on account of that person, it is in that person's possession within the meaning of this Samhita. Explanation: a person employed temporarily or on a particular occasion in the capacity of a clerk or a servant is a clerk or servant within the meaning of this subsection. 4. In every part of this Samhita, except where a contrary intention appears from the context, word which refers to acts done extend also to illegal omissions. 5. When a criminal act is done by several persons, in furtherance of the common intention. Let me repeat this. When a criminal act is done by several person, in furtherance of common intention of all, each of such persons is liable. This word here, each of such persons is liable for that act in the same manner as if it were done by him alone. 6. Whenever an act which is criminal only by reason of its being done with a criminal knowledge or intention is done by several persons, each of such persons who joins in the act with the such knowledge or intention is liable for the act in the same manner as if the act were done by him alone, with that knowledge or intention. 7. Wherever the causing of a certain effect or an attempt to cause that effect by an act or by an omission is an offense, it is to be understood that the causing of that effect partially by an act and partially by an omission is the same offense. Illustration: A intentionally causes Z's death. A intentionally causes Z's death partially by illegally omitted to give Z food and partially by beating Z. A has committed murder. 8. When an offense is committed by means of several acts, whoever intentionally cooperates in the commission of that offense by doing any one of those acts, either entirely or jointly with any other person, commits that offense. Illustration: A and B agree to murder Z by severely and at different times giving him small doses of poison. A and B administer the poison according to the agreement with the intent to murder Z. Z dies from the effect of several doses of poison so administered to him. Here, A and B intentionally cooperate in the commission of murder, and as each of them does an act by which the death is caused, they are both guilty of the offense, though their acts are separate. B. A and B are jointly jailers. A and B are jointly jailers, and as such have the charge of Z, a prisoner, alternatively for 6 hours a time. A and B, intending to cause G's death, knowingly cooperate in causing that effect by illegally omitting, each during the time of his attendance, to furnish Z with food supplied to them for that purpose. Z dies for hunger. Both A and B are guilty of murder of Z. C. A jailer, has the charge of Z, a prisoner. A, intending to cause G's death, illegally omit to supply Z with food. A is a jailer, charge of G's, a prisoner's food. A intentionally, उसने omit कर दिया Z को food देना, in consequence of which Z is much reduced in strength, but the starvation is not sufficient to cause of his death. Starvation is not sufficient cause of his death. A is dismissed from his office and B succeeded in. B, without collision or cooperation with A, illegally omits to supply Z with food also, knowing that he is likely thereby to cause G's death. G dies of hunger. B is guilty for murder, but as A did not cooperate with B, A is guilty only to an attempt to commit murder. Let me make it clear for you all. A एक जेलर था जो चार्ज था जी का, जो एक प्रिजनर था. ए जी को फूड देता था, लेकिन ए चाहता था कि जी का डेथ हो जाए, इसीलिए उसने बहुत दिन तक उसने फूड नहीं दिया जी को जो उसे देना था, जिसकी वजह से जी जो है उसका स्ट्रेंथ कम हो गया और वो बहुत ज़्यादा वीक हो गया स्टारवेशन से, पर उसका डेथ नहीं हुआ. बाद में ए को उसके ऑफिस से डिसमिस कर दिया गया और ए की जगह पे बी आ गया, उसको सक्सीड किया बी ने. बी ने भी बिना किसी कोलिजन और कॉर्पोरेशन विथ ए ये दोनों एक दूसरे को नहीं जानते थे और इन दोनों ने एक दूसरे के साथ कुछ कोऑपरेट भी नहीं किया। बी ने भी जी का खाना बंद कर दिया, ये जानते हुए कि अब अगर जी को खाना नहीं मिलेगा तो इसमें जी का डेथ भी हो सकता है। और बाद में क्या हुआ, जी डाइज ऑफ हंगर। यहाँ पे बी जो है वो गिल्टी है मर्डर का, बट ए जो है उसने डिड नॉट कोऑपरेट विद बी मर्डर में, तो ए सिर्फ होगा अटेम्प्ट टू कमिट मर्डर का। इज दैट क्लियर? नाउ नेक्स्ट illustration. A attacks 9 where several persons are engaged or concerned in the commission of a criminal act. They may be guilty of different offense by mean of that act. कैसे? illustration. A attacks Z under such circumstances of grave provocation that his killing of Z would be only culpable homicide, not amounting to murder. B having ill will towards Z and intending to kill him and not having been subject to the provocation assists what? He assists A in killing Z. Here, though A and B are both engaged in causing G's death, B is guilty of murder and A is guilty of only culpable homicide. This is section 3 of BNS, जो मैंने बहुत ही आसान भाषा में आप लोगों को समझाने की कोशिश की। मैंने सिर्फ बेयर रीडिंग किया है ताकि आप लोग आराम से ईयरफोन डाल के इसे सुन सकें और आसानी से समझ सकें। आज हम यहीं पे ख़त्म करते हैं और अब नेक्स्ट वीडियो में हम चैप्टर 2 शुरू करेंगे। थैंक यू। अगर अच्छा लगा वीडियो तो लाइक कर देना और घंटी ज़रूर मार देना ताकि आपको अगले वीडियो का पहले पता चल सके। थैंक यू। बाय बाय।